Hello viewers, today we're going to see what happens when I vary the nuruk and yeast in my standard Joong Boo recipe. My Joong Boo recipe, stage 1, is rice flour porridge, juk. So that's 200 grams rice flour and 750 milliliters of water each in these two pots for my two batches that I'm going to compare. So I'm going to try to show a few different things. I've shown this many times before in previous videos. I'm going to try to show a few different steps of the recipe that I don't usually show. So here I am cooling it as usual in an ice bath. Okay, this is a side-by-side comparison. Two different kinds of nuruk, and jar B is using a kind of yeast I've never used before. So this is the first nuruk, generic nuruk from Joong Boo supermarket in Chicago. Ingredient: yeast. And this is the Choripdong nuruk from H-Mart that I've used many times before. And this is a kind of yeast I've never used. This Lalvin EC-1118. Let's try it out. See how it changes the taste. These are my two nuruk and yeast mixtures, A and B. This is something I don't normally show. The cleaning of the jars, which is important. I'm putting the sanitizer in the jars and shaking it around, waiting for 5 minutes, and then rinsing very well. So you need a lot of clean water to do this. I'm using my filtered water to rinse everything thoroughly multiple times. So that's something I don't normally show, but I wanted to show it. It is an important part of brewing, all the sanitizing you have to do. Alright, so to help this cool down to room temperature, it helps to stir it once or twice during that time. Now it's room temperature. This is jar A. So this is the first nuruk and no additional yeast. And make sure that's stirred really well. Put the lid on loosely. This is jar B. And this is the second nuruk mixture with the EC-1118 yeast. Stir that well, close it loosely, ferment in a dark place, stir it twice a day for the first 2 days. So that jar A looks a little bubblier than jar B. It also smells more like apple juice. Okay, I'm stirring jar A, washing it, and then stirring jar B. Okay, day 2, make the godubap from chapsal. So I measured out 1.6 kilograms of rice here, 800 grams for each batch. I'm going to steam it all at once. So usual thing, soak, drain, and then steam. To get ready for the steaming, I always boil the cheesecloth for at least 5 minutes. Okay, so that's boiled, and then to spread it out, you hold it up, and the edge is going to cool off pretty quickly, and you can use the chopsticks to spread it out and cool off even more. And in a minute, it'll be ready to use to steam the rice. So this is a little more rice than I normally steam, so I'm going to steam it 5 minutes longer. I'm going to steam it for 45 minutes this time, just to be sure. Okay, and as it's steaming, I'm preparing where I spread it out. I have newspaper, wax paper, and cloth. Okay, so now that's done, I'm going to carry it over to where I can spread it out on the table. Okay, wait for that to cool down, and once in the middle, I'm going to turn everything over. That'll help it dry out and cool. So I have this bowl on a scale, and I'm measuring out equal amounts for each jar. So each jar gets the same amount of godubap. Only thing that's different is the nuruk and the yeast. Mix it up well by hand. There it is. So again, this goes in a dark area. The lid's not completely closed. And see what it looks like. Okay, day 3, I think it looks pretty similar. Day 6, oh, you can see a difference there from the side. They're not fermenting the same. Okay, day 10, it's time to bottle. I've shown this many times before. This is the quick version. That's jar A bottle. Now let's do jar B. Okay, so there's I've got almost 2 liters each batch. That's great. Now let's compare them. Okay, so let's taste this batch. So this is the jar A brew. I noticed that this sediment hasn't settled very much. And this is the jar B brew. It's settled pretty much normally. So just to compare A and B. So let's taste this. It really did seem that jar A was done brewing and jar B was done brewing. It was very quiet, especially jar A. I wasn't hearing any bubbles out of jar A. That's why I bottled it. Then it didn't settle, so I'm a little suspicious of that. Okay, so let's see what this tastes like. Okay, this is less apple juice smell than before. Well, but the taste is pretty sharp acidity, like apple juice to start with. And then right after that is the nuruk flavor. That's pretty strong nuruk flavor. So this is the brew with just nuruk, no additional yeast. I don't know if you can tell it. It is really hot here today. It was hot during the brewing process. I don't know if that, well, of course that affects the brew. Might have sped it up a bit. Made the yeast work a little too hard at the beginning. So this is undiluted. Yeah, so it's apple juice, nuruk, a little milky at the end, but still nuruk at the end. Okay, so that's the flavor. Let's try it with some water, some seltzer water. Okay. Okay, so it's milder, but you still really taste the nuruk. So this is a nice flavor, but you have to accept the nuruk, which is quite strongly evident. Okay. Okay, so that's the one with no additional yeast, and then jar B. Okay, now let's try the B brew. This jar B was, again, my normal Joong Boo recipe with additional yeast. This time it was EC-1118 yeast. I never tried that before. So I wanted to see what effect it had on the flavor. So this one is not very clear either. Neither of these were very clear. This settled better. Okay, so this smells a lot cleaner. More of the rice and the alcohol. A little sourness. So I think this is just as sour as the nuruk only one, but the aftertaste is much smoother. It doesn't have the nuruk aftertaste. It's more of a winey aftertaste. So actually, I think this is a lot nicer. But if you want to taste the authentic nuruk, don't add the additional yeast. If you want to be sure about the fermentation, the yeast is, you have enough yeast in the nuruk. Add some additional yeast, you'll get a more consistent flavor. It won't be as authentic. The yeast you add does affect the taste quite a bit. So this ended up eliminating the authentic nuruk taste that I guess should be present in a makgeolli. But it's very nice. So I actually prefer, this time I prefer brew bee. But try it yourself, see what you like. Try both of these methods. You'll get something good to drink no matter what. Thanks for watching. One more thing. Turned out that jar A improved a lot in the fridge after 2 weeks. So actually now I like it a lot more. So I'm going to try to get more of that particular nuruk. So again, thanks for watching.